Well, 23-year-old Canadian-Israeli woman Tiferet Lapidot was among the 1,200 people killed in the Hamas terror attack on October 7th. And right now we are joined live by her sister Rashit and her uncle Harel. I want to thank you so much for joining us in studio on CB24, and I know this must be an incredibly difficult time for your family. Rashit, I'm curious, when we're watching the families speak, talking about their family members, I've always wondered, where do you find the strength to make these appearances, to talk to journalists about your sister? Where do you draw that strength from?
My people in Israel, in my country, I feel like they need me. We are in a war. We are fighting for our lives against the Hamas that did terrible, horrible deeds. And, they have billions of dollars they spend on telling their lies. And we don't have this money, but we have the truth. And I'm doing it for my people, for my country, and to tell the Canadian people the truth about what happened.
When we saw the first pictures of your sister, and we're going to show a bunch of those pictures right now, the one thing that strikes me is that in every picture, you see this beaming smile, ear to ear, so bright. And I think a picture tells 1,000 words about your sister. But I want to hear from you. What was your sister like? What did she love? What was she like to be around?
So, my sister Tiferet was not just my sister, she was also my best friend. And I would like to tell you a story about her that will represent what she was. When she was tripping like a year and a half, and when she was in Sri Lanka, she was surfing with a friend, and her friend swept away, and she told Tiferet, "Leave me here, save yourself." And Tiferet didn't leave her. She stayed with her until people came to save them. And she told her, "We're gonna make it. I'm not leaving you." She was an amazing person, and she was the most funny sister, and she had sensitivity and careness, and she was so loved. She just loved everyone that came to the Shiva to comfort us. Said the same thing. She make everyone feel belong. She can't stand that someone sits with her and she doesn't smile, ask. She always wants to let people think that they're loved. And
you look at these smiles, and it's almost infectious. You can't help but want to smile yourself. Harel, I know this is difficult, and I appreciate you guys coming here to talk about Tiferet, but I was wondering if you can take us back a little bit to October 7th. And there was also a window of about 10 days where you didn't know whether your niece was either killed or she was captured. And I can't imagine the emotional roller coaster that the families of the hostages went through. And I was wondering if you can kind of paint us a picture of what those moments were like and what was going through for you and the rest of your family.
The last time we've heard from Tiferet was on Saturday. We are Jewish religious people, so we don't pick up the phone in our holiday in Shabbat. And the telephone in Tiferet's house just rang. First time her mother didn't pick up the phone because it's Shabbat. And when it kept ringing, she understood that something went terribly wrong, because otherwise nobody calls in Shabbat. Tiferet was on the line, and she said, "Mommy, they are shooting at us. I'm here, just near the bushes, hiding. And her mother told her, well, can I stay with you online? Well, you can imagine what for a father or a mother, what a horrific situation it is to hear those kinds of things, and you can't help them. We are, as parents, we are here to help our children. That's our major task in life.
Harel, why is it important for you to be speaking about your niece? Why is it important for you to be telling her story? And what do you want people to know about Tiferet? And what do you hope that her legacy will be, and that people won't forget about her?
Well, I'll tell you something. I was born in Regina, in Saskatchewan. My middle name is Michael. I am called after Miksha, my grandma's brother. He was shot in the streets of Budapest in Hungary. He was pretending to be a Christian X-ray technician, but some patient after a few weeks told a Nazi officer, his name is Miksha Steiner. He's a Jew, he's not a Christian. He overheard it and he ran through the streets of Budapest and he was shot dead. Unfortunately, and we couldn't imagine that 8 years afterwards, Tiferet will have the same fate for one reason. She was a Jew and she was hunted in the streets, in the fields, exactly like her great uncle. And that's a thing that we can't afford to be happening again. We can't afford anti-Semitism to rise in Canada, and we want the Canadian people to know the truth, and we expect. We grew up in the same values here in Canada and in Israel, and we expect the people of Canada and the government of Canada to support Israel, because it's not a matter of if you want to pick a side or moral support that is given to us. We don't need the moral support. We need Canada to stand for us because it's the task of Canada, exactly like Canada did when ISIS just bombed with no reason. ISIS is Hamas, it's the same thing, it's the same ideology. And exactly like they bombed in 9/11. Here it's just one and a half hour flight from here. It's the same thing, and as Canada stood for the states and for the free world, it should stand for Israel. That's the task, that's the main thing that the Canadian people has to do, and I assume that will do.
And lastly, Rashid, moving forward, how do you guys, plan to remember your sister when it comes to getting people together? Is it easier for you when you're surrounded by your family to cope with this loss? Because, you see the pictures, and I've heard the stories about how special and what your sister meant to you and the rest of your family. And I'm wondering, how does your family move forward from such a tragedy like this?
So my family is a really, really strong family, more than I expected. And my father, just after the Shiva, maybe 2 days after that, he go to the army to do his job. My mother is really strong for us, for the kids. She also lost her brother in the same place in Gaza 22 years ago. So she's a really strong woman. And, sometimes I just want to stay in bed and cry. But I have a son, and I have a family, and I have my people. So I just have to wake up in the morning and do the thing that I believe that I should do.
Harel and Rashid, I know this is not an easy conversation to have, and I know how important it is for you to continue talking about Tiferet and the life she lived and how you want people to remember her. And I thank you for coming on the show. Thank you.